I don't want to be rude or anything. I said, but I think I deserve something. I'm like, if it's a free item or a gift certificate or something for what just happened here.
I love being in people's business, and that white lady on TikTok who said that y'all can't fucking read and we're going through a literacy crisis and BookTok is the main problem is like so right, because y'all are fucking weird. The amount of times, like, I love reading, and the amount of times I will literally go to my little library and I'll go download a book that I will find on TikTok, and it'll be so ass.
So although this is nothing new, it really do amazes me how far people are willing to go for fucking views. I'm finding out through the BookTok community, there's a thing where there are people who are faking to be a BookToker. What the fuck? Like, that's what we're doing for views. So guys, for the past couple of days, I've been seeing videos upon videos agreeing with this BookToker who's calling out other BookTokers and saying that they are illiterate. Now, she has got popular over the days. There's so many takes upon either people agreeing or people just saying like, oh, she's just doing the most. And I just want to watch the video with you guys and let's break it down to see if this is actually the problem or if she's just rage baiting.
I do not trust you little bitches on BookTok and your stupid Kindle Unlimited book recommendations talking about this is 5 stars, this is one of the best books I've ever read. Meanwhile, when I was 12 years old, I was reading One Direction fan fiction written by someone whose first language was not English on Wattpad, and it was still better written than half of the shit I'm seeing pushed out on BookTok. I'm gonna be the bitch and say it, some of you need to go back to a high school level literature class because the lack of reading comprehension that I am seeing is scary. Talking about Guild or whatever the fuck it's called is a literary masterpiece, almost as if when authors are using actual literary devices and, I don't know, nuance, not spelling things out for us like we're first graders, that I see a lot of the sentiment on social media being, it was too confusing and too convoluted. Critical thinking, babes. Learn how to do it. I love a little fun romantasy vibe as much as the next girl. Like, romantasy is one of my favorite genres. However, that does not mean that it has to be poorly written. And I'm just gonna say it, not everyone should have their book published.
Now, before getting into it, since we all just pretty much watched that video, welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, I'm Garcella Robinson. This is my little part of the world where I talk about books, anything that's happened in the book community, and of course, whatever I want, because this is my channel. So guys, from seeing that video, she is literally coming, I would just say us, because to me, I feel like as much as a lot of people don't like the BookTok community, they are a book community. All of it is subgenre, the same as romantasy is subgenre. It's still a part of us. So let's go ahead and break that down, all right? So I always like to do a definition on what does pretty much the main title, or going more into my title, and what is the definition of BookTok and literature. I feel like this is something that needs to be known so we could be able to hold our ground on what we will be discussing. So BookTok is a sub community on social media focused on books and literature. And a person who is literate is someone who is able to read and write. I just want to clear it up before even starting this video and just say that I do not think BookTokers are illiterate. I kind of feel like that's a little goofy, only because if BookTokers were illiterate, they wouldn't be able to read or write at all. Now, on the basis of, do I feel like all of these people who consider themselves a BookToker, do I feel like they are reading at a lower grade level? I also feel like that's a little goofy. I wouldn't say that they aren't. I wouldn't say that their reading level is down a few notches, because if we were to think on that, a lot of adults who just chooses to stick to middle grade will be seen as needing to go back to school too, just to be able to read. And I kind of feel like that's crazy, because I can read middle grade all I want, and I can read adult all I want, and still not be stuck in that level. And I might can even call, because for me, I know I always use this as a reference, but I feel like it's so perfect, is that when I read Percy Jackson and the Olympians, I see that as a masterpiece. So does that mean I need to read higher than my level of just middle grade? of calling that a masterpiece. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it doesn't just, with this whole entire video, it doesn't just bring the forefront is BookTok illiterate or need to be able to read above their reading grade. I just feel like it brings more questions than answers on if I agree or disagree, because I feel like there's so much that comes with this video. There's so much things that she ended up saying that I feel like are a little questionable. And like I said, we're going to be breaking it down, but I do want to just give my overall opinion of the video and say I agree and disagree. I can see where she's coming from, especially with saying a lot of these books definitely need some editing. Okay, they need some editing, and yes, I do feel like a lot of these books do not need to be published, but also too, it makes her look a little crazy. Like, hold on, bear with me, okay, bear with me. I'm not just bashing this girl. I do feel like it do a little bit make her seem a little off, because she says that not every book needs to be published, but do she know that there's self-publishing out there? Like, you don't need a publishing industry to sit there and have your books be public. Like, you could just self-publish your own books. Like, she don't mention that, but she says that a lot of these books don't need to be published. And who's to say that a lot of these authors didn't start off being self-published and then they end up having an industry who published them by getting famous from that self-publishing? Like, it just, that definitely brings some questions. But to go even more into it, I feel like this isn't I wouldn't say this isn't a book talk thing. I feel like it's more, isn't just people recommending books. I feel like there's more to it than what she says. And that's going to be able to change my question. Isn't that BookTok is illiterate? Because you can't be illiterate if you're reading your books. This begs the question is, like, with all of these controversies and everybody feeling like they need to state their opinion on how the book community needs to be ran, or not trusting people on BookTok, it just begs the question, is BookTok an actual good community, or is it a bad community? Like, is it ruining the book community? That's really all it comes down to. And that's exactly what I want to hit. Not on that video, but I do feel like it plays its part. But I just feel like it's only telling half of the story and not the full nuanced version of it. And there's so many questions, especially ones that I end up finding on Reddit. I'm going to just pop them up all right here. But there's so many questions on, is BookTok ruining the book community? Is it all of these conversations? Are they recommending good books? Are they actually telling the truth? Are they actually reading said books that they're recommending? Now, for BookTok, or even any of my series that's questioning BookTok in general, or BookTokers, or not even just BookTokers, but anything that's going on in the book community, even genres. For my series, I always like to do kind of like a history background. I feel like that's because this is really what starts it off. But since BookTok really hasn't been here that long, so it really doesn't have too much of a history. It just popped up. Creators wanted to be able to express their love for books, and I'm just going to be going over small little parts of articles that I felt like fit with this video. Now, before there was a BookTok, we had the BookTubers. Way back in the 2010s, there used to be a community of book lovers on YouTube. The collective, known as BookTube, was very much a precursor to today's BookTok. Some of the pillars of BookTok, book hauls, unhauls, challenges, reading wrap-ups, were pioneered on BookTube. And for a while at least, it was a cozy and wholesome corner of the internet. Near the end of the 2010s, many of the major booktubers had essentially became pawns in the hands of publishing houses. They'd receive boxes upon boxes of books that they'd then haul basically just to show off, and then you'll never see those books mentioned again. The act of reading became replaced by the act of becoming a reader. Actual reviews became a few and far between, and many of the smaller genuine readers on the platform jumped ship. It feels like BookTok has got to the same place, only much faster. Now, for this article, I want to say that I agree with it. I was actually one of the people who loved watching BookTube, okay? BookTok was never my thing. That's what ended up making me create my own entire BookTube, because I wanted to be able to share my love of books without, like, I felt like, don't get me wrong, I was influenced by these booktubers, but the more that I became to continue watching them, I realized that it all became just a big monopoly, if that makes sense. Like, it just became about opening books, recommending new books, and not a lot of reading. And also too, when you're a booktuber, it makes you, like, you want to be able to show off more books that you've read. But I felt like a lot of the books that were being shown off were a lot of books that was really popular, or just books that they end up getting in the mail, and none of it was kind of genuine, and I really didn't like that. And then also, as the time went on and the booktubers that I was watching continued to get famous, they end up going towards the route where they wanted to make money from it. And yes, this can be considered a job, but for like us people who read books, not everybody got the money to be able to pay for these memberships. And I feel like ain't nothing wrong with that, but then it takes to genuine you wanting to be able to create a community within yourself, and us wanting to support you too. That makes, you know, total sense with wanting to have support and wanting to be able to make money from it. But soon the prices start going up, and it just became ungenuine for me. It didn't feel like a book club no more. It felt like more I was paying to watch somebody read books just because I like them, paying them to review books just because I wanted to see how they felt on it. And I could have literally just maybe took it within myself to be like, oh, I just love this book and that's enough. Not that I love this book and I need to watch somebody else who loved this book to make sure my opinions on this book is valid. So yes, I feel like for BookTube, it definitely fell down the same hole as BookTok is now. And then when it came to TikTok, people began to describe it as shallow, fake, showy, and performative. These are a few of the adjectives used to describe BookTok, the corner of TikTok where young women share and discuss books on camera. I do feel like when it comes to BookTok, it definitely gets a bad rep, okay? I do feel like it gets a bad rep, and I feel like a lot of the times when you end up making a community, no matter where what the community is about, I don't care if it's about books, activists, it just doesn't matter. You're always gonna have them bad eggs. And with those bad eggs, usually a lot of the time, well, not even all the time, but sometimes you're able to drown these bad eggs out and you're still able to be your genuine self. But what if you have a mass market of BookTokers, and a lot of the ones who are being pushed out are the ones who having these controversial takes, or these takes that either is very offensive and end up kind of like making everybody else in the book community mad, because this is what's being represented as the face, even though that's not what it is as a whole with all the creators. That's the same with BookTube. Not all the creators are just trying to chase a bag. Some of them genuinely do love talking about books, the same with the BookTok community.
I saw someone on BookTok say that they skip over long paragraphs, like they just won't read it. Honestly, to each their own, but this is why BookTok gets a bad rep. Because how are you a reader, but you're not reading? Like, why are we treating books like they're assigned readings in the classroom? This is supposed to be voluntary, for fun.
Now that we got that entire piece of, like, you know, think piece of me going over BookTube and BookTok, and not really how it came to be, but the turns that it took and what it was genuinely made to be for, let's jump back to that video and let's see pretty much the takes on somebody agreeing and disagreeing on what that creator's take was.
I'm on the side of TikTok where she is calling everybody the B word and saying that y'all need to go back to high school for some of y'all BookTok recommendations. And she's not wrong. The books are bad. And not in a subjective, oh, I just didn't enjoy it. They're bad in like, where are the editors? They're bad in like, the character just falls off the face of the earth. They're bad in like, I've read the same book multiple times by different authors with different covers. They're bad in like misspellings, like plot holes, like they're bad books. And there's nothing wrong with enjoying a bad book every now and again. The problem comes when then you come online and you're like, yeah, this was a 5-star read. Come on now. Like, let's be serious individuals. You can enjoy what you want to enjoy. I don't think anybody's saying that. I think where I differ on her point is that I don't think it's anti-intellectualism, because I think that y'all know better. I think it's overconsumption. It's kind of like the same thing to me when people come online and they have like 1 million Stanley Cups. Like, why do you need that much? And I don't even really fault publishers, because they're in it to make money. So if y'all keep accepting poorly written books and praising them, what makes them want to be better? And we can say like, I'm just happy people are reading. Like, I'm just reading. Why can't people just enjoy things? Because you deserve better. Because as consumers, we deserve better. And I think that if we don't start to like push back a little bit and say like, hey, this was piss poor, we're gonna keep getting piss poor things. And I don't know, I got what she was saying. I wouldn't have called y'all a B, but I didn't think she was wrong. And I do want to bring in my one BookTok recommendation. Y'all got me once, fool me once. Shame on me. No, shame on you, right? Fool me twice. Fool me, you can't get fooled again. Okay, I bought this book. Not only did I buy it, I recommended it to my book club. We read one book a month. I brought this one. I was seeing it all over BookTok. It had great reviews. It was the best book I ever read. It had me sobbing. It was so good. 5 stars. It was incredible. Yeah, this would have been 5 stars if I was in the 6th grade. There were grown women saying that this was the best book they had ever read. Are we serious? This book was $10.99. If it was $35.99, I would be calling y'all out y'all name too. This was terrible. So I get her point.
There are 2 things that I really want to speak on in terms of this video. I think just like me, you guys have seen this video on BookTok. First one being 2 things can be true at once. There is a ring of truth in what she said in terms of quality over quantity, and that within a certain subgenre of the BookTok space, it is kind of pushed down on us. We are kind of gaslit as an audience and saying, oh no, this is a great book. The prose are written well. There's some nuances. When in truth, in fact, is the author is doing a lot of hand-holding with their readers. The writing is really not that great, and we have read a little bit better over on AO3 and Wattpad. That being said, I do think that message should have been sent from a different angle, and the blow should have landed a little bit more gently, especially coming from someone that I noticed is not within the BookTok space. I've noticed her content isn't necessarily surrounding books or the BookTok space. It's kind of like everywhere. Her niche is, I feel like, is just talking about random things. She's a commentator. So to see this kind of message from someone who is not really necessarily within the BookTok space, I haven't seen her promoting authors. I haven't seen her really read diversely. I haven't seen her talk about books at a different settings, right? So this coming from her feels more rage baity than it is like bringing up an actual issue that she has. Maybe I'm just reading this wrong. And when she is sitting in front of her bookshelf, I'm seeing Yarrows, I'm seeing SJM, I'm seeing problematic authors. So again, to me, I'm like, are you just saying to say things? Are you just saying to rage bait? Or is it because you have an actual complaint? I'm not gonna lie, I agree with what she has to say in terms of quality over quantity. I've noticed that within especially certain genres that white voices are being pushed more or marketed better. And when you read said books, the quality of said stories is piss poor. I have made countless videos in terms of intellectualism of certain subgenres within fantasy dying out, and I got crucified in the comment section. Girl, my shit got rocked. I've been on the BookTok space for 4+ years, and there's one thing I will say. Just because certain books recommended by certain BookTok creators does not necessarily mean that all is lost. There are so many great content creators out there, especially within the BookTok space, who promote diverse authors, who actually know what they're talking about. They read their books and they do their research. And I highly recommend, if you are like this girl, to just really branch out into the smaller creators, because that is where it is. Full transparency, 9 times out of 10, you are not going to get the substance you are looking for from the big BookTok creators. A lot of them are just getting paid the big bucks to talk and promote the same regurgitated shit that you are upset about. So if you are looking for stories of substance, because trust me when I say there are stories out there of substance, you're just gonna have to look slightly harder, because they are stories written by the marginalized community. I'm talking about the queer community, I'm talking about the trans community, I'm talking about the Black community, the brown community, the Latinx community. The communities that aren't white or marketed well. You're looking for great prose, great writing, books where the author is not holding you by the hand, where the characters are not one-dimensional, flat, or superficial. There's a list of some authors that I recommend you checking out and their works. For great literary prose with the writing style which just gets you to the gut, I highly recommend The Manual for Good Wives by Lola J. Actually, anything written by Lola J. She is an amazing author, and the way she writes Black voices is just on another level. And for a good romantasy, I got you. Read Trial of the Sun Queen. I mean, stakes are involved if you like the selection kind of thing, but written by an Indian author. I highly recommend this. You're looking for epic fantasy with dragons and shapeshifting, To Shape a Dragon's Breath. 10 out of 10. When it comes to writing fantasy, especially with hints of romance, but with your stereotypical tropes that every girly loves, The Jasad Air. Trust me on this, you're welcome. When it comes to YA mystery folklore retelling, Ji Hyo Hyun just gets it, okay? And The River Drags Her Down. One of the best YA mystery thrillers that I have read to this day. Oh, I'm sorry, you're looking for a great horror story with vampires in it? Look no further. Our Share of Nights. You're a bit of an academic and an overachiever. Catabasis. You're welcome. You're looking for a little bit of high stakes, a little bit of enemies to lovers with, you know, a bit of sci-fi in it. The Phoenix King by Pernaverna. I'm telling you guys that there are so many wonderful authors out there that write just so many great books, and their voices matter just as much as the ones that you are upset about. And I'm telling you, you're gonna have to put in the work. You're gonna have to put in the work if you want to read good things.
Now, after seeing both of those videos, I can just say that I get where both parties are coming from. That's why I say even for this main video, I can't even say that I can say that I agree and disagree with some of the takes that she said, because I feel like people should be able to read whatever they want to read, okay?
I don't really do drama, but we finna get into it real quick. So let me put this out there just so y'all all know. I'm not one of them. That's first and foremost. Secondly, I'm going to read what the fuck I want to read when I want to read it. So don't ever come on my page thinking you finna tell me what I need to read.
I do feel like this has, like, even with this take, it has made, like, I feel like with all the controversial takes, it has made everybody feel like they need to be on one side of the coin. Like, when you, like, it does, like, who is to say that you can't be on this side and this side? Who's to say that you can't sit there and say, yes, a lot of these people need editors, and who's to say that just because they need editors doesn't mean I can't read and enjoy that book?
Getting on BookTok to call BookTokers a bunch of idiot, ugly, stupid bitches who don't recommend good books and only recommend slop, to then turn around and recommend BookTok popular books is insane. And then to everyone in the comments that's like, you're missing the point just because she said something not so nice. Did you see the book she recommended? I think she's missing the point. There is, as everyone has pointed out, a genuine way to have an actual conversation about anti-intellectualism. That video was not it. That video was a poor attempt at it by someone who doesn't actually care and was just looking to rage farm, and she did.
And after watching that fake TikToker video, it just makes me feel just a little like this whole entire take, especially with her calling everybody out, pretty much anybody who is a book talker out their name. I don't feel like I get, like I said, I get where a lot of the creators are coming from, but one thing I do want to say that I do feel like she could have went about this a different way. Like I said, well, even for another video that I saw, I do feel like she didn't need to give tough love. Like, who are you to give somebody tough love, and who are you to call somebody out? Because
why you thought addressing a whole community of people as bitches to try and get your point across, I don't know why you thought anyone was gonna receive that well, babes. I feel like some people get too this is what I say when I say too many people get too comfortable when they come on social media, because who are you calling a bitch? You calling a bitch? If anyone trying to defend her by saying, oh, you know, when you say, oh, bitches, none of us are your friends for you to be calling any of us bitches. Okay, I don't need from a can of paint for you to call me a bitch. Girl, who the hell was you talking to? And also with the whole thing of, oh, because BookTok gave you one bad recommendation, oh, you bitches on BookTok. Girl, calm the fuck down. Okay, calm the fuck down. I've been on BookTok for years now, and BookTok has definitely given me some good recommendations, books that I loved, and it definitely has given me some books that I looked at and thought, this is what y'all hyping up. But never have I ever now come on TikTok and be like, oh, you bitches on BookTok, like ratata. Are you forgetting that you're, I guess, I don't know if you're trying to be a part of, I don't know what the hell it is, part of said community. Like, funny thing is that some of your favorite books, like Akatar, a popular BookTok series, but because you love that one, it's like, oh, there's no issues. But then the ones that you didn't like, oh, but all of a sudden we're bitches. But we weren't bitches when you read a series and you loved it.
You know what, this book don't really seem like it's for me, and I feel like a lot of this, like this entire, well, at least the main video, I do feel like it has a little bit to do with just doing it for views, because I saw a video, I even went to her page, and she really don't talk about books like that. That doesn't mean to say that she can't have her takes on BookTok, but I do feel like it's probably because she's limiting herself to not, like, she was only limiting herself to BookTok recommendations. And she has, like I said, she has free will to pick up more books than that, instead of just saying like, oh, all you BookTokers are this, that, and the third, and y'all be reading at a second grade level. Y'all need to go back to English class and blah, blah, blah stuff and stuff like that.
Are all these books white? Are they all straight? I see your anti-intellectualism debate. I raise you elitism and centering whiteness. Don't get scared, or do. I don't care. But I'm not about to rehash all the things said. I just want to say, you aren't going to get people to listen to your point if you insult them off rip. That's just not gonna work. But the thing that I want to talk about is how almost every time that there's an anti-intellectualism debate or one of these kind of things comes out, number one, Kindle Unlimited and indie authors almost always get whacked. Two, diversity matters. I'm going to tattoo it on my forehead because I'm tired. As someone who almost exclusively reads Black and brown authors, I'm a Kindle Unlimited truther. I quite literally would not be able to read if it weren't for Kindle Unlimited. You know why? Because traditional publishing is not publishing these voices. If I'm trying to read Black, it's probably on Kindle Unlimited. If I'm trying to read brown, it's probably on Kindle Unlimited. And if I'm trying to read queer, it might be at the bookstore. But if I'm trying to read queer and Black and brown, it's probably on Kindle Unlimited. But I think to sit here and say that those books are somehow less than, when for a lot of authors it's their only opportunity to get in front of their demographics, is insane. It's nasty. It's elitist. Self-publishing makes reading accessible, which it should be. We're going to keep it a stack. The only difference between your favorite trad author and an indie author that might use Kindle Unlimited is resources, opportunity, and opting in, because every indie author doesn't want to be trad. To talk about them as if they're less than is loser behavior. There's also been more trad pub book to Kindle Unlimited crossovers, and I think it's okay because, again, reading should be accessible. The other part that grinds my gears is every time these conversations come up, they are talking about the straightest, whitest book you can find. Before this is misinterpreted, let me say good well, I'm not saying every white trad pub book is bad, okay? I'm not saying that every white trad pub book is bad. What I am saying is a lot of times when these conversations come up, the sample of what you're looking at to say, wow, all these books are bad, in your hands are just straight white authors. Straight white authors that came off the BookTok table. That's it. That is the most insane overgeneralization I've ever seen in my life. Look at the demographics of those books that you're calling mid. When you realize that you are still centering whiteness in this conversation, you're saying that people aren't thinking, but also you aren't thinking because you aren't thinking about who's in your hand and who's in front of your eyes and who's on the Goodreads list. And again, as someone who does center marginalized and non-white voices, I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't run into this issue as much. Like, if you want to talk about how the traditional publishing model is pushing a certain type of book written by a certain type of person, that is a conversation that I think more people should be having. You can't fully have that conversation without acknowledging that there are gaps. There are all these other authors that would love to be represented and to show you the wonderful work that they're writing. They're not in this sample size because of the model of traditional publishing. They probably won't be. And that is the conversation that should be being had, because you are discounting the indie authors. A lot of the times are marginalized authors.
And I feel like because of this small-mindedness is because there, like I said, there are some people that's in BookTok who don't actually be reading the books. Like that girl said, like, you're only skimming it, and then once you get to the end, you like, oh, this is the best book I ever heard. And then yes, somebody else would pick up with their free will. They will pick up this recommendation and be like, oh girl, this book was bad, because they read the full entire book. They didn't just read half of it. And I do feel like all of this kind of like, oh, this is my take on it, and it just be the most outlandish take. Not, like I said, not saying that you can't use your own free will. I need to keep on repeating this. Use your own free will to pick up these books, or to even pick up that camera and make the decision to have your take. Do people have to agree? No. Should they be bashing you in the comments? Probably not, because like I said, it's your take. But with these takes, it also is making the BookTok community, or just the book community in general, so judgmental. It's making it so judgmental. And I feel like even with this, like, she pretty much just split the whole entire thing in half. Like, I feel like it's not just her take. Like, there's a lot more takes that people be having, like, oh, you can't listen to an audiobook and call it reading, which I completely don't agree with. Like, just because you're listening doesn't mean that you hasn't read the book. Literally, that person is pretty much somebody. So you're saying, like, say for instance, if you're helping your kid, if you have kids, if you're helping your kid read a book, right, and you're pretty much helping them through the words, you're pretty much saying it, reading it for them, and then you end up counting it as a book, you're saying that that's not counting? Like, yeah, no. I know that's crazy, crazy reference to use, but I feel like that's what it is. Like, it's really just somebody reading for you. That doesn't mean, like, if I pick up this book, I can't exactly tell you what that book was about, because I'll be able to tell you everything because I listened to it on audiobook. And that's not the only take that be happening. Like, that's not the only judgmental thing that be happening. You have people who, same with audiobooks, you have people talking about, oh, I wouldn't read from no man, like this video. Or you got a video where people talking about, oh, I won't read from. Or if it's judgmental when you talk about, when you're doing your wrap-ups and you're explaining all the books that you read. I really don't get this take. I feel like it's kind of goofy.
A load of fucking bullshit. What a load of monumental fucking bollocks.
But yes, people on BookTok have said, oh, I don't like when y'all talk about how many books that you read, because I haven't read that many books, so I'm mad. I do feel like if even just reading one book a year, and it could be an educational book, fiction book, mystery book, no matter the book, that's still progress. Like, you're pretty much doing what a lot of people in this world has not done, and that's read. Even if it just comes to one book. Like, you don't have to have as many books as somebody else. There are people who read slower. There are people who read faster. But that's not, like, I won't be comparing my books with you. Say, for instance, I have a friend. She didn't start reading because of me, but she really started, I wouldn't say getting my taste, but she loves to read her own books, and she reads at her own pace. And I tell her how many books I read, and she tells me how many books that she reads, and she always comes to me saying, like, oh, I don't feel like I'm reading enough. She's really on BookTok. I'm not, but she's really on BookTok. She's like, oh, I don't feel like I'm reading that many books because I don't read as fast as you do. And I always tell her this, the same way that I'm telling you guys, is that literally there is no comparison. Everybody, it goes in there. Everything that you do is in your own way, even if you're not reading as fast as me. Like I am an avid reader, and there's somebody who probably read just as long as I have since like middle school, and they probably read way slower than me, and that's nothing wrong with that. Or there's people who read the same much as me and might read books way faster than me. Does that mean I need to go and sit there and page count her to make that she's reading that book? Like it's a little judgmental, but I would not just compare this to BookTok. I feel like this is just a book community in general. Even if you go on subreddits for subreddits for books, there's gonna be people making that comparison. Then I wouldn't just counter this to it just being a BookTok problem. It's a book community problem, because we are all one. And not only that, I do feel like I feel like even with BookTube and same with BookTok, I feel like for BookTok, I feel like it's for entertainment. That's what that app is for. The app is for entertainment. So a lot of the times when people are recommending their books, they might make it seem like it's this big trailer. They got the background, they showing the fast pictures, and you're just looking at it, you like, oh, this book's so good, this book's so good.
Black boys like me don't have magic powers. At least, that's what I thought. It's been a summer of revelations, heartbreak, betrayal. And now, it's homecoming. It's time to return to King Universal, the magical HBCU for young black convicts. But now, new secrets and dangers. When it's dark, it's the light.
Or it looks so good, and then you'll pick it up and it's garbage. Let's be for real. You'll pick up the book and it's just garbage. And the same with, like, I know I keep saying this, but the same with, it's your free will to pick that book up. Yes, it is a recommendation, but also too, if you go to this author's page, if you go to this BookTokers page, I feel like a lot of y'all are just kind of seeing these BookTokers as celebrities. Like, I feel like when I look at it, I do see a lot of the times the way that we uplift these creators or BookTok creators is because we see them as celebrities and not just somebody that we're getting recommendation from. Like, I would never want somebody to be watching my channel and to sit there and uplift me to a standard of a celebrity, because that's not what I am. I just love to talk about books. And a lot of the times, say if I am getting recommendations, I don't anymore, because I feel like it's just not my cup of tea. And the creators that I do follow, they end up recommending books that are my taste and do get me a little bit out my comfort zone, but I literally read any genre. Don't get me wrong, my self-help books is a little low, but I read any genre, and I still wouldn't judge somebody who only read romantasy. I just know that creator is not for me, and I don't try to uplift him. I wouldn't say try to uplift him. I know that sound crazy, but I don't sit there and see them as, put them on Beyonce pedestal. Like, you're just recommending books. You're not writing these books, so why should I hold you to that standard?
So recommendations aren't terrible. You're just not following and interacting with the right creators who have similar tastes in books as you. There are so many creators under this kind of umbrella of BookTok, all recommending very different books. Yesterday, the book I saw mentioned the most on my feed was Wuthering Heights. Also, if I see a book recommended on here and I don't know much about it, I'll do a little bit more research, like look at the reviews on Storygraph or on the Waterstones website or something. And even if it seems like I'm going to absolutely love the book from what I've seen and then I don't enjoy it, that's not the fault of the person who recommended it. That's just life. Like, you don't love every book you read. It's not the fault of the person who recommended it. It doesn't make it an objectively bad book. No objectively bad book is being traditionally published. That's not how publishing works. They get hundreds of thousands of submissions. There's so many drafts out there in the world getting sent to agents and publishers. Like, nothing objectively bad is getting through those stages. But not every book is going to be Booker Prize level. People are allowed to read a book just for entertainment. It doesn't have to be this award-winning level of writing. Books are allowed to just be entertaining. If you want a book that has absolutely incredible writing, then maybe look up an award like the Booker Prize or the Women's Prize of Fiction and go through the long list. But even then, you might not enjoy it. because everyone's different. You're not going to vibe with every author's writing style, and that is fine. Doesn't mean it's bad writing, and it doesn't mean no one else is allowed to enjoy it. Let's maybe just stop swearing at people over their reading choices. Also, let's stop with these videos that come up every few months where it's like, I hate BookTok books can't be trusted. You all read terrible books, you're all recommending terrible books. It seems like it's just been done for attention and to rage bait at this point. All BookTok books are terrible, like, oh please. I don't normally do much of a response because it feels like it's just for attention and I don't really want to feed into that. But I don't want anyone to be put off reading by these videos. I read from pretty much every genre and I read non-fiction and fiction. I'm not going to judge anyone for the genre they are reading. When there's this misogynistic argument that women don't read proper literature, I don't like that this seems to feed into that.
And the second to last thing I'm going to say is that pretty much I use this creator as reference, especially when it comes to saying like, oh, I hate this about the BookTok community, I hate this and blah 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 that. And I feel like I do agree, and I do feel like it is just to get a little bit of views. Okay, like I said, TikTok is entertaining. Okay, it's for entertainment purposes. Like, of course I'm gonna have to, if I just come on here, and a lot of the times when I post videos like this and I'm just pretty much talking, like I'm not doing all the theatrics, I'm not doing the ins and out and stuff like that, a lot of people won't end up sticking around to watch what I gotta say. That's why I love BookTube so much. But I'm not uplifting BookTube, I'm talking about BookTok. And I do feel like it, when you're scrolling and stuff like that, you have every right to scroll. You don't have to sit there and just because you don't agree with that take, that you need to go in their comments and do a whole hate speech and be like, oh, why you bring it down all creators and this and that and the third. You need to do all that to not agree with this person. If I don't agree with them, I just keep on scrolling, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like this, these are just her opinions or his opinions, whoever it may be. These are just their opinions, and their opinions is not going to affect my day-to-day. If somebody say that they hate Percy Jackson, say for instance, I'm gonna be a little mad, because who can hate Percy Jackson? All right, I'm gonna be a little upset, and I'm gonna look at it, and maybe I'm gonna be like, maybe I will leave a comment, but it's not going to be no like hate speech or anything like that, or me trying to persuade them, because I never know. Just like a lot of these creators, you never know if they read the books, and you won't be able to decide, because a lot of the times they can just look up what the summary is or look up what somebody else said and copy what they said word from word. But I feel like they can sit there and say and have their opinion on whatever they want to say, but that doesn't take my love away from any of the books that I read or any of the comments that pretty much anything that I have to say. And I feel like the best rebuttal is to either make your own video and just say how much that you love that book, so you can get the people who actually do love that book and make a community within yourself. Just like that person, that creator has their own community who's going to either agree or disagree with that take.
BookTok not going to appreciate this, but I decided I'm not really canceling any problematic authors, because authors have always been problematic. Like, you even Dr. Seuss, for example, problematic as fuck, but still be selling books today. You know, still be reading them to children today.
Now, one thing I can say about the BookTok community and book community, BookTok in general, is that I really don't like the cancel culture of it. I don't feel like it's real. And I feel like a lot of the times, the same way I say that you can just keep scrolling, it is true. Like, you literally can keep scrolling. And the same with when it comes to authors, we have people saying that they don't like how it's political, like this video said.
When did BookTok become political?
Because at one point it was illegal for me to know how to read.
Why can't we leave politics out of BookTok?
Because young girls are attacked and kidnapped to deny them access to literacy.
Because BookTok is for books. We come here to escape all of that.
Black-owned bookstores are shutting down due to bomb threats and harassment. Books are being banned, and school districts are trying to get rid of librarians. It is deeply intriguing to me that individuals who read books where people that look like them get to lead the revolution tuck tail and run the minute anything revolutionary has to be done. I know y'all love enemies to lovers, so I need you to go from an uneducated person to someone that understands history. Reading has always been political. They are expressions of who matters and what our culture values in every story we tell. Educate yourself on the political role that reading plays in society. Or educate yourself on where to find therapy.
They don't like how it's political. I mean, they don't feel like it's political, but books are political. Books are meant to be talked about. That's exactly why I feel like having this community is such an important feat to have, to be able to express your love for this book, or to be able to even put somebody on. I just don't feel like we need to be as judgmental about it. And I do feel like you can sit there and go like, oh, I don't want to speak to that person because they're supporting this author who is problematic. And I feel like if we want to take that stance, and that's not to say that it's a wrong stance to take, especially if you stand on that principle. But the fact is, the same people who will say that, oh yeah, I don't follow none of these problematic authors, I don't follow none of these, this, that, and the third. But the thing about it is, you can do that and say, I'm not following that book, but are you following those brands? Because there's tons of brands who follow that same author's ideology, but we continue to buy from them. Like, if you're gonna take that stance for everything, not just that one book. Like, you're not making no progress in what you saying you're standing for. This is not to say that some creators don't do it, but a lot of the times they're only one-dimensional activists. They're only a one-dimensional activist, meaning, oh, I'm gonna tell all my people who follow me, and oh yeah, don't read this book, I'm not talking about this book no more because this author's so problematic. And not everybody's gonna take that stance, and the same way they can sit there and tell you that they're taking that stance doesn't mean they don't have them books on them shelves. Like, you don't be able to see their whole entire house. Like, that's exactly why I come to, like, pretty much my saying of using these influencers or BookTok famous people or people who's really popular on BookTok to take them at face value, because a lot of the times these people can be lying. Like, literally, I can be lying. I'm just saying. So I definitely take a stance on that. But yes, like, if you're gonna say like, oh, I'm not reading no problematic authors, make sure you keep that within everything that you do in your household, and don't hold somebody else to that same standard. Like, you shouldn't be judged. Like I said, this is so much to do with judging. I feel like that's the main problem with the BookTok community, is just judgment. Like, it's really just judgment. Like I said, people should be able to read, do whatever they want, take the stances on whatever they want, and continue about their day. Just because they don't agree with you doesn't mean that it's end all be all.
This is your daily reminder that you are not stupid for liking a book. You do not have to go back to high school English because you found entertainment in this horrible world and something that someone else deems bad. You might even know it's bad, and that's fine. I love bad books. I've given bad books 5 stars, and I know they're bad, but guess what? I don't care. Just another reminder that you can raise valid points and still try to be a decent human being and not belittle others. There are a million little subsets on BookTok, and I'm sorry that you haven't seen them all. There are books on here that are objective masterpieces. Why does nobody criticize watching reality TV like they want to criticize girls reading books? Why is literally no other hobby policed like reading books is policed? If you've read one single book this year, you're doing fantastic. I'm happy you're reading. I hope you keep loving reading, and don't let anyone insufferable tell you what you can and can't enjoy.
Now, this is gonna be my final little part, my ending, and that's always with my hypocrisy. Like I said, I feel like it can go into the other thing that I was talking about, but I just really want to say, just to fill it out, I don't feel like the people that is a part of BookTok or who are BookTok creators, especially for me watching them and having my own having my own creators that I follow myself and get some recommendations that I have on my video from them. I don't feel like the BookTok community is I'm not calling them out their name, and I don't feel like they're illiterate. I do feel like they should be able to read whatever they want, pretty much do whatever you want. This is your place, your sense of safeness, no matter the book, no matter what you love. Like, people shouldn't be judging for that. Like I said, I can agree and disagree with this take, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm not gonna say that she's completely right, because like I said, the self-publishing, sitting there calling people out their names, I do feel like a lot of this has to do with, especially when you're calling somebody out their name, I do feel like that has to do with who she is. Like, I'm not even, I feel like I don't want to say this in a mean way, because I feel like you can come at people, especially people who watch your videos, a certain type of way, and I do feel like she could have took that stance differently. She could have talked to them in a different way and not given us this so-called tough love, or these creators this tough love, because I do feel like they are putting books on the map. Are they the wrong ones? Yes. Do sometimes they be a little trash and they be recommending goofy books? Yes. But once again, it's our free will to be able to follow the trail that they're kind of leaving behind. It's our choice to. And if you're pretty much judging them, I feel like you should judge everybody in each community, because we all have our problems. It's not just BookTok. I don't feel like it's toxic. I just feel like it's overrun with a lot of people who have a lot of opinions, and whenever somebody don't agree with that opinion, we all want to be able to take our stance, or be like, I'm on this creator side and I'm on this creator side, and y'all might be ways across the world from each other. Like, I feel like it's not that big a deal. What she's saying is not that big of a deal, and I feel like the only reason why it's so popularized, or why it went viral in the first place, isn't because she's just addressing BookTok, is because we're making it a bigger deal than what it is. There are tons of creators, especially when I saw this video, there's tons of creators who had the same stance as her, and they agree with it, or they said their piece in a similar fashion. Well, not a similar fashion without calling them out their name, and they don't get as much rep as that one person did. There's so many things that's toxic about the book community or BookTok, and there's so many things that's not toxic about BookTok. Like, I feel like it's both. Like, that's really what it all comes down to. But yes, so guys, that's all I have to say. Hopefully this made a little sense. I know I went on a little rambling. I feel like there's so much that I want to be able to say, and so many things that I want to, so many things that I want to be able to say and put it in a way to not even just make you guys understand, but also in a way that's not trying to hurt anybody. Because like I said, we all love our books. Like, we all want to be able to rep for this author and stuff like that. It's our own little sport. You know what I'm saying? It's our own little sport. But that doesn't mean we need to sit there and label the whole entire BookTok community as one, when there's so many different people on there, so many other creators that you can find that's completely different. And like that one person said, like, just because you haven't explored other avenues in the BookTok community doesn't mean that you need to bash everybody in it and say that they have a what did she said, some grade level reading. Like, and another thing too, I just feel like it's crazy to me, is the publishing. Like, y'all are sitting here getting these people books published, they choosing to come out with these books, and you're just loving it, and ain't nothing wrong with that. Yes, they end up getting a little popular because really famous creator, and a lot of the ones that kind of don't have no standpoint, their stuff end up getting really popularized because everybody bought the book. And just because you're supporting the book doesn't mean that everybody who's watching it should support it too. That's just what you support. So yes, thank you for watching this video. I hope this kind of made some sense to you guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know in the comments how you feel about BookTok, and if you agree with the standpoint that she was trying to make, or if you disagree with the standpoint that she was trying to make, or once again, if you don't agree or agree, you feel like there was a lot of stuff that could be said that she ended up leaving out and it was just all rage bait. I'll see you next time. Bye.